Hey friends, so now we're gonna deep dive into something very important in Python. We're gonna talk about the string functions. Now, as we learned before, the string value is just a text in between double quotes or single quotes. And you can put between the quotes anything you want, like a name, country, maybe as well numbers with special characters. So there are no rules and everything considered to be a string. Now you might ask why we should care about the string functions. Well, my friend, text or string data is everywhere. In the file names, in the user input, in web data, APIs, logs. So I can say like 80% of the real world data is just text. And usually text has a really bad data quality. Everything could happen, like typos, extra spaces, weird characters. So it is highly likely to be messy and noisy. But at the same time, text informations could contain a lot of informations. Like we could have in one string value a name, age, and country. And it doesn't matter whether you are a data engineer, analyst, data scientist, you have always to manipulate and prepare the data before doing anything. So you need to learn all the tools in order to work with the string values, and this is exactly what we're gonna do now. So let's go. So now before we go into details of each function and operation that we can do on the strings, I have prepared here like a roadmap, or let's say a cheat sheet, where I have grouped the different operations and functions under specific categories. For example, if you want to go and search for something, we have here like 3 methods and 1 operator. And now about the coloring, the red ones, they are the built-in functions in Python, and the blue ones are the method that is specialized only for the class string. So as you can see, we have a lot of very important methods, and then we have the yellow ones. They are the operators that you can use in order to manipulate the string values. So this is the roadmap, and let's start with the first group. We're going to talk about the types. So here we have like 2 built-in functions in order to handle the string data type. So let's go. Alright, so let's start. Now we're gonna go and get any value. So let's have a variable, and inside it we put a string value like your first name. And of course you can put this in single quotes or in double quotes. It's all the same for Python. Now the first built-in function that we can use is the type. You can use it in order to check the data type of your value. Like for example, let's go and test it. We say type, and then we use the variable, then execute it. You can see we will not get anything in the output because we are not printing. So in order to see the output, we have to say print and then execute again. And now you can see your value belongs to the class string, and that means the data type of my value is a string. So this is really nice in order to check the data type of your value. Now let's go and create another variable, but this time we're gonna go and put a number, like for example 24. I'm not 24. Now of course, if you go and print the data type of the age, we will get a different value. So let's go and execute. Now you can see the class is integer because we have here a number. So far everything is good. But now let's go and do the following thing. We're gonna say print, and then we can say your age is double points. And now we go and do operation like the plus, and here at the end we say age. So now I would like to see like a nice message about the age. Now if I go and execute it, I will get an error. We are trying to do operation between an integer and a string value, and this will not work. This can work only if you have like 2 integers or 2 strings. So now we cannot do it like this. We have to go and convert the data type, and here comes the second built-in function. We have the str. It's gonna turn any value into a string data type, and this is exactly what we need in this scenario. So what we're gonna do, we will go and pass the age to the function str, and in return we will get a string value. Then it's gonna be okay because we are doing a plus between 2 string values. So if we go and execute it, everything will be working. Your age is 24, and Python will accept it. So this is exactly what the str function does, converts the data type from any value to a string. So now there is like something important to understand. The variable age contains a number. So here, as we converted the value to a string, that doesn't mean Python gonna go to the variable and change the data type there. We just change the data type only in the print, and here we don't have any new assignments. So if you go afterwards and print the data type of the age, it will stay as an integer. And this is of course okay if you want to go and do something like this. So you want to go and add like 5 years. This will work because the age is number, and as well 5 is number. But if you say, you know what, I would like to change the value of the age to be always as a string, so you have to go like this and say str age, so that we are grabbing the 24 as an integer, convert it to a string, and then assign it again to the age. And with that, if you go and print the data type of the age, you will get here a string. And of course, you cannot later go do something like this. And if you execute it, you will get an error because now age at this point is a string. So as you can see, Python is very dynamic and you can go and change the data type anytime you want. But you have to be careful. Once you change the data type to, for example, a string, then you and Python has to handle it as a string. And you can apply only the method of string to this value. So if you change the data type, be careful what you are doing. Otherwise, you will get errors like here in my code. Okay, so that's all about the two functions and this category. We're gonna move to the next one. We have here one built-in function and a method in order to do a few calculations on the string. So it's like we're gonna go and measure something with the string values. So let's check those two. Okay, so now let's have this example. Let's say that we are asking the user to give us a password, and the password is going to be something like this, 123A. So now let's say this is the input of the user. And now, as you know, in any application, if you are adding any password, there are many rules, and one of them is to check the length of the password. So now let's say that in your application, you say, you know what, the password must be at least 8 characters. So that means I have to go and calculate the length of the password. And to do that, we have the built-in function len. You can use it in order to count how many items inside your value, and in this scenario we count how many characters inside our string value. So it is very simple. We're gonna go and say len and then pass to it our variable, our value, and if you go and execute it, of course nothing gonna happen because we don't have a print. So if you go and say print and then execute, so the length function is gonna return a number, and it's gonna be the number of characters inside your passwords. And now of course we can go and use this information to check whether the password is too short or too long. So for example, we're gonna learn it of course later, the if statements. We say if the length of the password is shorter than 8 double points and then new line, we say if this is true, then print your password is too short. So let's go and execute it. You can see our program saying your password is too short. And now let's say the user goes and adds more numbers and characters to the password and then execute it again. You will see the length of the password is 11 and we are not getting anymore this warning. And one more thing, it's gonna go and count everything in the string. So if you have like here white spaces and you execute, it's gonna go and count it. So now we have like 13. So everything gonna be counted, whether you have numbers, characters, special characters, spaces, everything has a space and it's gonna be counted. So as you can see, this function is amazing and there will be a lot of use cases where we use this function in our code. So as you can see, we can use it in our logic to build rules in our application to prevent values that are too short and as well to prevent values that are too big. Sometimes we don't want to store like huge values inside our database or in our application, and we use the length to check the size of our data. Okay, so now let's move to the next one. Let's say that we have the following text and we're gonna have like multiple lines. That's why I'm gonna go and use the triple quotes. This of course still count as a string. I just want to have it multiple lines. It's easier to see. So now let's start with the first one. We're gonna say Python is easy to learn. And I think so. Then we say Python is powerful. And the last sentence we say many people love Python. So like this. Now what I'm trying to show here is that like we have an article or a long description of something. And now we can do analysis in Python about how many times a word appears in the text. So now in order to do that in Python, we have a special method for the string values. It is called count. So it's gonna return how many times a specific value appears in a text, in a string. So it is very simple. Let's go and apply that. So this time we are talking about a method and the syntax for that is gonna be like this. The value or the variable dot and then afterward the method name. So the method name gonna be count, and as well we need a double parenthesis, and now inside the parenthesis we're gonna pass the value that Python has to count. So for example, I'm gonna go with the value Python. We have here Python many times. If you go and execute it, of course nothing gonna happen because we are not printing. So you go and put the whole thing in print and let's go and execute. So now as you can see in the output we are getting 2. So this method returns a number, how many times something appears in your string. Now you might say, but wait a second, we have here 2, but if you check the text, Python appears 3 times. Well, that's because my friend, Python is case sensitive, and if you write it exactly like me here, where the third one, everything is like lowered case, then this considered to be no match. We are searching for Python, but the first character is capitalized. So Python is very sensitive about the upper and lower case, and it will not consider this as a match. So now, for example, if I go over here and say Python, where everything is lowercase, I will have only one match. This is exactly the last one. So this is really an amazing method, especially if you are doing text analysis. It is one of the main things that we do there. We count the frequency of a term or a value. And one more thing that I usually use it in order to check whether we have any special or unwanted characters in my code. So for example, I don't want to have like the $sign in my code. And if I go and execute it, I will see, okay, there is 0. That means everything is clean in my code. But if you have somewhere the $sign like here, I can understand, the code is not clean. There is somewhere a special character. So this method as well helps you to check the quality of your code and to detect any issues. Okay, so that's it for this group. We have learned how to measure our string values. All right, moving on to the next one, we have here the transformations. So here we have 2 methods and 4 operators that's gonna help us in order to reshape the string value, whether combining, splitting, extracting stuff from our string values. So they are very important and very useful, and we're gonna check them one by one. Okay, so now let's say that we have the following value. So we have like a date. It starts with the year, then slash, and after that comes the month, then another slash, and at the end we have the date. Now, as we know that we have like different formats on how we format a date. And let's say that in our data, we don't use like a slash as a separator between the date parts. We would like to have like a minus. So actually, I would like to replace those slashes with a minus. Now, in order to do that, we can use the method replace. So we can go and use replace. And for that, we have to specify 2 things. Old value, the slash, this is our old value. And then we're going to go and replace it with a new value, which is the minus. So this is new. So you have to specify always those 2 things for the replace function. And now once you apply this to our value, so it's going to start searching to 0, 2, 6, nothing so far. But here we have a match. So here we have a slash, and Python going to go and take it out from the string. And instead of that, it's going to go and replace it with the replacement, with a new value. And then it continues, so 0, 5, and then here we have another slash. So same thing happened. It's gonna go and remove the old value and then put here the new value. So as you can see, it is very simple. All what we are doing is replacing the old value with a new value. And this is, my friends, very useful. All right, now for the replace function, there are many real world scenarios and use cases where we have to use this function. And I can show you more than like 20 use cases. And now I'm gonna show you some common issues that we have in data and how we solve it using replace. So for example, let's have a price and it is stored, let's say, in string. In Europe, the decimals are splitted using comma, not a dot. So we have this number, and of course we cannot work with this number. We have to go and format it differently. So we have to bring it to standards. So that means we have to replace the comma with a dot. So we're gonna do it like this: price dot replace. And now we have to define 2 things: the old value, which is the comma, and the new value, which is the decimal dots. So let's go and execute it. Now, of course, we will not get anything in the output. As usual, we have to print, and let's go and execute it. Now, as you can see, we have a dot instead of comma. And of course, this still as a string, and we can go and format it as a float later. So as you can see, we use the replace in order to bring standards to our values. Now, let's have another very famous issue. Let's say that we have 4 numbers. And phone numbers are usually catastrophic. There are just many different styling and formats on how to write a phone number. Let's go with this one, like this. Now, as you can see here, we have different sections of the phone number and things are separated with a minus. Now, let's say that this is not the format that we work in our application. We would like to format things using slash. So that means we have to replace the minus with a slash. And in order to do that, we use our replace function. So the old value gonna be the minus and the new value gonna be the slash. And of course, the whole thing, we have to do it in a print. So let's go and execute it. Now, as you can see, our phone number is splitted using slashes. And with that, again, we are formatting our value differently using the replace. Now, there is like another use case for the replace. We don't have always to replace a value with a new value. We can replace the old value with nothing. Like, for example, let's say that I don't want to see any special characters between the numbers. I would like to have really clean phone number, just numbers, no special characters, no characters, and we can do that. So that means we have to go and replace the minus with nothing. And this is exactly what we can do with the replace. We can go and say as a new value, nothing. As you can see, it is blank, it is empty. And now if you go and execute it, you can see in the output, Python replaced all those minuses with nothing. And now you have only numbers. Of course, you can go and add space here again, but space considered to be a character. So again, you have like special characters in between. between. But if you don't specify anything, it's like we are removing a character. So it's not anymore replace, it's like remove. So this is a trick. If you want to remove something from your values, go and use replace, and the new value should be just nothing. So let's have another example. Let's go back to the price, and now let's have the following number. So we're gonna have a dollar sign at the start, then 1,299.99. So now we could have such a price, and now I would like to convert the whole thing to a real float number. So we have to get rid of all those decorations that we have inside the price, and of course we can do that using the replace. So now let's do it step by step. We want to get rid of the dollar sign, so the old value gonna be the dollar sign, and what we're gonna replace it with nothing. So we are removing the dollar sign, no new values is needed, and of course let's go and print it. So let's go and execute. Now as you can see, we don't have the dollar sign, but still we have an issue. We don't need as well a comma. This is as well just a format that is not needed for a float number. Now in order to do another replace, what we're gonna do, we will add another method just at the end. So after the end of the first replace, we're gonna do another dot, and again we're gonna use the same method replace. So what we are replacing now, we are replacing the comma as well with nothing. So how this gonna be executed? First, Python gonna go and get the value in the price, then apply the first replace by removing the dollar sign, and then the whole result gonna be as well applied to the next methods, where it's gonna go and remove the comma from the string. So now let's go and execute it. So with that, as you can see, we don't have any decorations. The dollar sign is away, and as well the comma. And this is what usually happens in projects. We have a lot of issues in one value, and we keep adding replace after replace until we cover all the scenarios. Okay friends, now time to challenge your new skills. I want you to convert this messy phone number into a clean number with only digits. So no need for all those characters like plus, spaces, parentheses, and the minus. And now we're gonna learn how to join text, how to concatenate two strings in one string using the plus operator. So now let's have a very simple example where we have the first name, let's say Michael, and the last name Scott. And now I would like to have like everything in one value, in one string value. In order to do that, we can simply use the plus operator. So now in order to do that, we're gonna say last name is equal to the first value plus the second value. So as you can see, it is very simple. We don't have to use any function or whatever. We just use this nice plus. Now we go and let's say print it, the last name, and let's go and execute it. Now, as you can see, everything in one value, Michael and Scout. And with that, we have concatenate two values, or let's say joined two text. And now of course you might say, well, let's have something in between the first name and the last name. It doesn't really look good. So that means we have to go and add in between like space. Space is like a string value, something like this, and then we add a space in between. So that means I'm joining the first name together with the space, and now we have to join the space with the last name. So we have to go as well use another plus. Now we are like connecting three values, first name, the space, and the last name. Let's go and try it out. Now, as you can see, we have here nice space in between. And if you say, you know what, let's have a minus instead, you can have that. So as you can see, this is very simple. This is how we join multiple values together using the very simple plus operator. Now I'm going to show you a very common example that we use in our project for the plus operator. So let's say that we have a folder and we have here any path. So C, users, para, and we have like a file name. Let's say it is the report.csv. So now usually in projects we create different variables and so on, and usually we split the folder path from the file path so that everything stays dynamic and I can go in one place and change the folder path. Now of course, if I want to go and open any file using Python, I have to go and combine both of the folder and the file to have the full path. And of course we can do this very easily using the plus operator. So we can say full file path, and we just go and concatenate the folder with the file. Now let's just go and print it. Full file path. Let's go and execute. And with that, we have the full path, but we have here an issue. We are missing here a final slash. Well, either you correct your folder path like this, or you can go and add it in between the folder and the file, but let's go and do it on the folder and execute. And with that, we have a full path of our file. So this is how we use the plus operators in real projects. Okay, so now let's talk about the F string in Python. So the F strings are modern, super easy way to format and build strings in Python. And the F stands for formatted. So basically the F string gonna help us to put variables, expressions directly inside your string without have to worry about the data types in very easy and friendly way. Okay, so now let's go and create few variables like your name. So Sam, let's go with the age, for example, 34. And now let's go and create a Boolean value like is student. Let's say false. Now, if you want to go and put everything in one string value in order maybe to print a message, we have learned so far to do it like this. So print, and then we start with a string, for example, my name is, and then the value comes from name. So we have to go and add plus, and then the variable name, then another plus in order to concatenate the values. And now we can go and add another message like I am. Then we go and enter the age, then another plus, and then the variable age, then another plus, and then we continue with the message years old, and then we say and student status is space, and then we go and get our last variable is student, and maybe I would like to have at the end a dot, so another plus. Let's go and test this first. Of course we cannot do that, we have to go and change the data types, right? Of course, we cannot go and concatenate numbers and Boolean with the string. We have everywhere to go and change the type to string. So we're gonna go and use the function str to cast our values. Let's go and try again. All right, now it is working. My name is Sam. I am 34 years old and student status is false. So this is how we learned to do it so far. And you can feel the struggle, right? We have always to go and add the plus. We have to take care of the data types and it feels really frustrating, right? Now we will never do that again. We have new modern way in Python on how we construct a string value if we have multiple variables like this. So let me show you how we're gonna do it easier and more professional. So we're gonna go and say print, and we're gonna have our double quotes or single quotes. And now exactly before the first quote, we go and add the letter F. So now with that, Python understands, now we have to go and format everything as a string. So now how we're gonna do it? We're gonna say my name is, and now after that we need the value from the variable name. Previously you have used the plus operator in order to join or concatenate the text. Now with the F string, we don't have to go outside of the double quotes. We're gonna stay inside the double quotes. We don't need the plus operator. All what we need is the curly brackets or braces, whatever. And we put inside it the variable name. So without having any plus or without exiting the double quotes. And now we continue like normal. I am. Now here about the age, in the previous way we have used, of course, the plus in order to concatenate. And as well we have converted the data type. We don't need to do anything anymore. All what you have to do is to use the curly brackets and just put the variable name inside it. Python gonna deal with the rest, so Python gonna go and convert the age to a string and as well concatenate it with the rest of the text. So as you can see, this is very simple. And after that we continue with our text. So years old and student status is, and now we come to the same scenario. We have a variable where it contains a Boolean data type. Previously we have to apply the function str and plus operator. We don't need anything anymore. All what you have to do is to open and close curly brackets and just put inside it the variable name. And of course at the ends we need the dot. So let's go and execute it. And with that, as you can see, we are getting exactly the same results. Okay, so now if you go and compare the old way with the new way, you can see the new way is shorter. It is easier to read. As you can see, my name is name, I am, age, years old, and so on. Nothing is disconnected using the plus operator or using this string function. So it is short, readable, super cool, and looks like exactly what you want to see. So now as we go on the course, we will not use anymore the plus operator and converting data types if you want to build a string value. From now on, we're going to use the modern way on how we construct string value, especially if we have multiple variables included. And now about the F formats, we can use as well expressions inside our string. So for example, let's go and print this one. And of course, we use the F letter before. So we say 2 plus 3 equal. Now what we can do, we open and close curly brackets, and we can go and add an expression like 2 plus 3. So now if you go and execute it, you can get 2 plus 3 is equal to 5. So not only variables, you can go and add expressions inside those two curly brackets. And now, of course, I know some of you gonna say, wait a second, those curly brackets, I really like them and I want to print them in the output. So how are we gonna do that if we are using it for variables and expressions? So for example, let's say we have a string value and we are formatting it with the f string, and then you say I like this brackets, and inside them there is something. This is me. So now if I go and execute it, of course I'm gonna get an error because this is not variable, this is not an expression. So that means we have somehow to tell Python to print the curly brackets, and we are not using them for variables. So that means if you want to show the curly brackets as a part of your text, you have to go and escape them by adding double brackets like this. So that means at the start we're gonna have 2 and as well at the end. So let's go and try that out. With that, you got your nice curly brackets in the output. So if you want them in the output, just go and use them twice. Okay, my friends, so that's all about the modern and super easy f string. Okay, so now let's move to the next one. It's going to be exactly the opposite. We're going to go and split our string into multiple string values. So we have here a method called split. It's going to break a string value into smaller pieces. So let's understand how this works. Okay, so now let's say that we have the following value. So we have like a first name and then minus. After that, let's say that we have the age and then minus. And at the end, we have like the country, USA. Now, of course, the whole thing is one value. So the whole thing is one string value. But we have the feeling that we have here inside it like 3 informations, right? We have the first name, we have as well the age, and as well the country. And this happens a lot in real world, where in some databases they're gonna put many informations in one value, in one string. Now, of course, as we are doing analytics, we would like to have those informations splitted. Each one of them is really important, and I would like to have like different operations on each value. So that's why I would like to split this one value into 3 values. Now, in order to do that in Python, it is very simple. We're gonna use the method split. So we have to tell Python what is the separator, and as you can see from example, it is those minuses between the values. So we go and pass this value inside the method. Oh, this looks like a face now. Now if you go and apply this, what's gonna happen, Python in the output gonna return multiple string values, and for that we're gonna have like a special data type called list. Don't worry about it, we're gonna cover everything in the data structure. So the output gonna be a list of multiple string values. So now we're gonna start with the first value and put it in the output. So this is the first string value. So we can have the first name like this. And in the list, we separate the multiple values using a comma. Then Python gonna see the separator and take the value after it. And as well, the same thing, put it in the output. So we're gonna get the age 24. So this is our second value and then a comma. Again, Python sees here a separator and then get the third value and put it in the output. So we will get the third value, the country, as well in the list. And with that, my friends, we have splitted this one value into 3 string values. So those are 3 separated string values. And if you look to this, you can see there is something disappeared in the output, and that is the separators. We don't have those values in the output. So if you specify the separator in the split, it will not be, of course, included in the final output. So this is really nice. This is exactly how the split function works in Python. All right, now let me show you this issue that we have usually. We have a stamp, and let's say that inside it, we have a date together with a time. So let's say we have the year 2026, and after that we have space and then the hour, something like this. Now, as you can see in this string, we have 2 informations. We have the date and time. Now what we can do, we can go and split those 2 informations into 2 different strings. And in order to do that, we can use the method split, and then we have to specify the separator. So now the separator between the date and time is actually space. So we're gonna go and give Python the separator as 1 space. And now, of course, in order to see the results, we have to go and print it. And let's go and execute it. So now, as you can see in the output, we get a list with 2 values. The first one is the date and the second one is the time. And this is exactly what we need. Now let's have the same example, but this time we don't have the time. And this time I would like to have each part of our date into 1 separate value. So I would like to have the year separated from the month and the day. Now, of course, the question is how they are separated. Well, using a minus between them, and we can do the same thing. And now we say the separator is the minus, and if you go and execute it, you will get in the output 3 values: year, month, and day. So as you can see, in string values we have a lot of informations, and we can use the split in order to get each information in separate value. Alright, now let's go to another example. Let's say that we have CSV file, and as you know, we have the values always separated with a comma or maybe a semi-comma or whatever. So we could have like something like an ID, then like a first name, and then a country, and maybe afterward like we have a birth date, something like this. and maybe as well the gender information. So now if you worked before in CSV files, you will find all those informations together in one row, and all those informations are splitted with the comma. Now of course what we can do, we can go and split this string into multiple strings using our split function. So CSV file split, and then the separator here is a comma, right? And as usual we have a print, and let's go and execute it. Now as you can see, each column is separated with a value. So we have the ID, the first name, the country, the birth date, and the last one, the gender, as we are handling and working with CSV files. This is as well very nice use case for the split in order to separate the values maybe in CSV files. Of course there are many other methods on how to do that. This is just an example. Okay, moving on to the next one, we have another operator, the multiplier. Well, this one is crazy a little bit. Hey. And you can use it in order to repeat a specific value multiple times. So what you can do actually, for example, let's take this value ha, and then multiply it, let's say 3 times. Now you might say, okay, I'm multiplying a string value with a number. Well, that's fine. It's not like the plus operator. This is allowed in Python. And let me show you what can happen. If we print this, let's execute, you will get ha ha ha. So if you find yourself you are repeating the same value like multiple times, you don't have to do it, just decide on how many times you want to repeat it. Like for example, maybe you find sometimes we do something like this in the logs, where we say a special character like the equal, and then we do it like multiple times to have a nice separation in the output. So now if you go and execute it, you're gonna have like nice separations. It's easier to read if you have like huge logs in the output, and you can organize stuff using this kind of separations. Now of course, if you have a very long code and you are adding those separations every time, you might do something like this, like miss few equals, and things will not look nice. So now in order to control how many like equals you are putting in the output in the logs, you can use one equal and then multiply it maybe 30 times. So now I'm gonna do it over here and as well here and execute. And with that, we're gonna have nice separation in the logs. And it is really quickly, if you want to go and change your mind to say, let's go and have hash instead of equal and execute. Now you can style your output very easily. Only once here, you don't have to repeat it like 30 times. So this is what happens if you multiply your string value with a number. All what you are doing is repeating these values multiple times. Well, this is the only use case that I can think of now. Okay, so with that we have learned 2 methods and 2 operators. And now next we're gonna learn about something special, how to extract specific part of our string. This is gonna be very interesting. So let's go. Now let's take this example. So we have a simple hello. Now we usually think about this as like one value, one string value. But behind the scenes, Python think about this as a sequence of characters. So we have like a list of characters. And it's well very important to understand that each character has a position and we call it an index. So it's like we have an address for each character, and we have 2 types of indexes. We have the positive indexes and the negative indexes. So let me show you what I mean with that. Now about the positive indexes, we start from left to right. So we start with the first character, the H. This has the position of 0 and not 1. This confuses a lot of people. The second character is 1, then 2, and 3, 4. And now we come to something very confusing, the negative indexing. We start from the right to the left. So the first character this time gonna be the O, and my friend, the first character will not be 0. It will start with the -1. The second one gonna be -2, the L, 3, and until the last character gonna be the H -5. So as you can see, the negative indexing starts with the -1 and ends with -5, where the positive starts with 0 and ends with 4. And those are the indexes that are assigned for each character in this example. Now of course you might say, okay, why should I care about this? Let's say that I would like to extract only the first character, and in order to do that we open and close brackets, and now inside it we specify the position number. And if you do that, what's gonna happen, Python gonna go and extract exactly one character at the position number 0. So you will get an H. And you can do the same task but using the negative numbers as well. The same thing, open brackets, put inside it the negative position, and Python gonna find the position of course here, and you will get the same value in return. So you will get as well here an H. Now let's say that I would like to go and extract another character, for example the O. Same thing, you have to go and open a brackets and then choose whether you use the positive or the negative. So if you want to use the positive, you can go and use 4, and with that Python gonna go and check the position number 4, extract the character for you, and in the output you will get an O. Of course, same thing gonna happen if you use the -1. Python gonna find it over here and will return as well the same character back. So you will get an O for the -1. Now let's go crazy and pick something in the middle. The same game, you go and use the brackets, put the position number of your character and extract it for you. And with that you will get the first L, or of course we can go and use the negative index and same thing gonna happen. You will get the same character. So with that, my friend, you can go and extract whatever you want by just specifying the index or the position of your character, and you can use either positive or negative values. Now let's take things to the next level, where I don't want to extract only one character from my string. I would like to go and extract like a group of characters. And now in order to do that, we have to specify for Python two informations. First, the starting index and as well the end index. We have to tell Python when to stop. So we have to provide those two informations, and the syntax is gonna be very simple. So brackets, start, then double points, and then an end. Now there is something very tricky to understand. The starting position gonna be included in the output, but my friend, the end position will not be included. So not included. So let's have an example to understand it. So we open bracket, what is the starting position? It's gonna be the 0, right? And then double points. And now since the end position is not included, we cannot go and say the end is 2. We have to say the end is 3. So we have to go and specify 3 for that. So now if you go and execute it, Python gonna do the following. It's gonna say, okay, this is the starting position. And I'm gonna say, okay, we start from here. And then it's gonna say, okay, the end position gonna be 3. So this is the end. And then Python gonna make like a wall just before it, and now it's gonna go and extract everything between those two boundaries. So that's why you will get hell, well, with only one L.
No! God, please, no! No!
So this is what I mean that the end is not included. So that means we will not get the character of the end position in the output. Now let's see how this works if you want to use the negative numbers. Two brackets as usual. Now we have to specify the starting position. So we're gonna say here -5 double points, and think about it. This is the first boundary, and now the same thing, we're gonna stop over here at the second L. We need only the first 3 characters, and since we are stopping at the -2, you go and specify the end as -2. And my friend, the same thing gonna happen. You will extract everything in between, so you will get in the output as well hell with one L. So now, of course, the positive numbers are easier, but always you have to think of the first position is 0 and the end index is always not included in the range. So this is how you can extract multiple characters from a string. All right, now there is like another trick with the start and end, where we say I would like to go and extract starting from specific position, and then I would like Python to include everything as well after this character. So I don't want Python to stop at specific position. I would like to get everything. So that means, my friends, I don't have to specify an end at all. So that means I would like to get this part, and in order to do it, it's very simple. We say, okay, start from the position number 1, then double points, and after that, don't say anything, leave it empty. So with that, Python gonna start from the first position and then get everything afterwards. So this is really nice. We are saying start here and go to the end of the string. And with that, we are skipping the first character. Now, be careful with one thing. If you go and say only 1 without double points, do you remember what's gonna happen? Python gonna go and extract only 1 character. You will get only an E. But if you go and use the double points, you are saying start with the E and go and get me everything until the end of the string. Now we go to the last phase, and this is gonna be the most complicated one. But I think once you understand it, it's gonna be easy. So what we can do, we can specify the start position, double points, and then the end position, and now we can go and put another double points. So now what is going on? What is step? This is of course an optional one. If you specify here a number, you're gonna tell Python how many characters to skip as it walks through the string. Okay, let's take one example. So we start at the position 0. So we start from here and we build the first boundary, and then let's say the end gonna be 4. So this is the end position, and with that we have specified the second boundary. So if you leave it like this, you will get the first 4 characters, of course. Now, if you say, let's have the step as 2. So now with that, we are telling Python to skip every second character. Let's see exactly how this is gonna work. So we're gonna go and focus on all the characters inside the boundaries. inside this range, and Python can start with the first character, so the H. So this is the first character and it will be included in the output. So H, can I see it here? So now moving on to the second character, the E. Since we are saying step 2, it will be not included. So we will not include every character, we're gonna include every second character. So E will not be included. And now moving on to the third character, the L gonna be included. But now moving on to the second L, it will not be included. Since we have bigger steps, we have 2 steps. So it will be skipped and not included in the output. So with that, as you can see, we are skipping characters using the step. Now, of course, if you want to get all the values, you can go and specify here 1. So Python will not skip anything, will include all the 4 characters. And this is, by the way, the default. So if you don't specify anything, Python is actually having the step 1. So this is how the step work. It is not that hard. Now, if I look to this, I don't really use a lot the steps. Usually we only use the start and end to extract substrings. All right, now let's practice in Python directly. Let's have this word Python. Now let's say that I would like to extract the first character. In order to do that, we're gonna apply the index. So we open and close brackets. And now we have to use either the positive or the negative. So I'm gonna go with the positive one. And actually, that's it. The syntax is very simple. And then we print it like this. And now let's go and execute it. So as you can see, we are getting the P. And of course, if you want to go and use the negative number, you have to count. So we start from the right side. -1, -2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So -6 like this. Now, if you go and execute it, you will get the same results. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Let's extract the last character. So print text, the same thing. Now we have to choose a positive number. So the last character is the N, so you have to count. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the positive number is 5. Let's go and execute it. So let's go and execute it. With that, we are getting the last character, the N. Now, what is the negative number to get the N? It is the first one, and the first one is -1. So let's go and execute it. The same results. So let me just put it like this. So here it was 0. It was the 5. Now let's go and extract, let's say, the H. So extract H. Now the positive number, we start from 0 and let's test that. We have an H. And the same thing if you want a negative number for that. We start from the right side, -1, 2, 3. So as you can see, it is very simple. We call this technique as indexing, only one character from a string. And if you want to get multiple characters, part of the substring, we call this technique as slicing. All right, now let's have an example about the slicing. Let's say that we have a date and we have the year, the month, and the day. So here again, we have multiple informations in one string, and I'm interested only on part of this string. So let's say I'm interested only on the year. So now we have to go and extract only the year from this string. So let's go and do that. So extract the year. So we're going to use our variable date and then open and close brackets. This time we're going to do slicing, and you have to specify the start and the end. So what is the starting point? It is the first character. So we start from the 2. That means the starting point is 0, then double points. Now we have to specify the end, and don't forget the end is not included. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 is the minus, and minus is not included. That's why we're going to specify it as an end like this. So let's go and print it as usual and execute it. So as you can see, with that we got the first part, the year. It is simple, right? It's not that hard. Now there is like another way on how to do the slicing for this. Since we are starting at the position 0, we can go and only specify the end. So there is no need to say 0 like double point. We can just leave the start as an empty, and as a default it's gonna be the starting point 0, and only specify the end. So with that, I'm saying the end gonna be the minus here, and get me everything before it. It is just a lazy way, and you will get the same results. So let's go and print it, and you will see we'll get the same value. So if you find yourself starting always from the 0, you can go and skip it. Okay, so now let's move to the next one. We want to extract, guess what? The month. So now, of course, guys, what I recommend you is that if I'm giving the task like this, you don't have to sit and watch and just see their solution. So just pause it, think about the numbers, and check whether I have the same solution. Now, how are we gonna do this? We're gonna have as well date. Now, what is the starting point of the month? Let's go and count. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So the first digit from the month gonna be at the position number 5, and then we have to specify the end. It's only 2 characters, so 5, 6, 7. The 7 is not included, that's why it is the end here, and we can go and print it. So let's go and check that, and with that we are getting the month. Of course, you can go and use the negative numbers, and there is no shortcut in order to get the month. Now let's go to the last one, extract the day. Let's check the numbers. Now what we said, at the 0 we were at 5, so 6, 7, 8. So we start at 8 and then after that double point. And now we don't have to specify the end. We want to get everything afterwards, so we don't have to specify the end. We just leave it like this and let's go and execute it. So with that we are getting the day. So now of course the question is, when do we use positive and negative numbers? Well, this is my recommendation. If you are extracting the parts on the left side at the beginning of the string, it is easy to use the positive numbers because you just start counting from the left side. So you will have something easy like this, 4, 0. You don't have to count a lot of stuff until you reach the starting position. But now if you want to extract something at the end, at the right side, easier to use the negative numbers because we start counting the negative numbers from the right side, from the end of the string. So that means for the year, I'm gonna go and stick with the positive numbers because it is on the left side on the start. But for the day, I will use the negative numbers because as you can see here, we have 8. We have counted a lot of things until we reach the day, but it is way easier if you go and use the negative numbers. So for example, what is the starting position? It is -1 and then -2. That's it. So all what I have to do here is to say -2. I don't have to go and count like 8 characters. And what is the end is again like the rest. I don't have to specify anything. So if you go and print this, you will get the exact same results. So if you want to extract something from the left side, use the positive numbers. If you want to extract something from the end, use the negative numbers. It's way easier. And now you might ask, okay, what about the middle? Well, it depends. If the middle is close to the left side, I would go with the positive. But if the middle is like closer to the right side, I'm gonna go with the negative numbers. So that's it. This is about the indexing and slicing. All right, friends. So with that, we have covered everything about the transformations that we have in order to reshape our string value. Now we come to the most important group. We're gonna learn how to clean our string values. So previously, as I said, string values are text, and text usually in real world has bad data quality, and we spend most of our time like cleaning up the data before doing anything. And those are your tools in order to clean up the string values. And I have split this group into 2 subgroups. The first subgroup is all about how to clean up the white spaces. This is very commonly thing that you have like evil tricky spaces in your text, and we're gonna learn how to clean that up. And in the second subgroup, we're gonna learn how to clean the cases. So let's start with the first subgroup, how to clean the white spaces. So let's go. Alright, so now let's say that we have a normal value like max. This is totally fine. We don't have any white spaces from left or from right. We have on the left side entered a white space. So now, of course, this white space is really bad and we would like to get rid of it. And since it is on the left side, we can use the method lstrip. So now what's gonna happen, Python gonna go and trim this white space from the left side and remove it completely. You have again the original value without any spaces from the left side. Now let's say that we have the scenario on the right side where we have here a white space. So this time we have it from the right side. And of course, this is really a bad thing. We don't need usually like spaces at the end of any value. Now to fix it, we have the opposite function, rstrip. And if you apply it, the same thing gonna happen. Python gonna go from the right side and remove any white spaces from the right side. And with that, you will get again your original value without any spaces from the right side. Okay, now we're gonna come to the scenario where we have from the left side and as well from the right side, white spaces. So of course you can go and apply both of the methods on this value, but we have another method called strip. So without left or right, without specifying left and right. And if you apply it to this value, it's gonna do exactly both of the job. So that means Python gonna go and clean the spaces from the left side and as well from the right side. And with that, you will get again your clean value without any spaces from the left or from the right. So my friends, if you want to remove the white spaces only from the left side, use the lstrip. If you want to remove only from the right side, use the rstrip. If you want to remove both of the sides, then use the strip. So this is very simple and nice. All right, now let's go and practice. We're gonna have this example where the user gonna go and enter a value like engineering. We don't have any unwanted spaces at the start and at the end, so we don't have to do anything. But now let's say that our user did at the start by mistake, hit and enter, and then the value engineering. So now with that, we have data quality issue. We have unwanted spaces, and this can cause a lot of problems later. So we have to go and clean this up. So what we're gonna do, since it is on the left side, we can go and use the method lstrip. And with that, we are removing this white space from the left side. Of course, we can go and print the value to check the final results. So let's go and do that. As you can see, we have now engineering, and at the start we don't have any white space. Now let's have another example where the user gonna say, now let's move on, and let's say that now this time our user gonna go and enter engineering, but at the end by mistake type space. And in order to solve it, since it is on the right side, we're gonna go and use rstrip. So this time we are removing unwanted spaces from the right side. If you go and print it, so let's go and do that, you will see as well we don't have any spaces from the right side. All right, now we're gonna move to the last scenario. I think you already got it. At the start by mistake we have a white space, and as well at the end like this. So we have unwanted spaces from left and from right. In this scenario we can go and use the strip in order to remove everything from left and right. Now if we go and print it, you will get the same result, engineering, without any spaces from left or right. And with that, we improve the data quality. And now, of course, here the best practices, if you are getting any value from your users, using the input function, you cannot expect whether the space is going to be at the start or at the end. That's why always go with the strip function, just to make sure you are cleaning all the white spaces from the left and right. Now, of course, this method is going to go and remove multiple spaces. So let's go and add a few spaces here. So we have here like 5 spaces before the engineering. If you go and execute it, you will see it's still gonna go and remove all the white spaces from the left side. Now one more thing, let's say that we have this value, data engineering. So now as you can see, the space now in the middle, in between. It's not on the left, not on the right. If you go and apply the method strip and then print text, so let's go and highlight it and execute, you will see in the output we still have the white space. So this is very important. The strip method will not remove the white spaces inside your text in the middle. It's only going to remove the spaces from the left and the right. And of course we have other methods in order to remove the space in the middle. And by the way, those methods will not only remove the white spaces, it could remove anything else you want. So for example, let's have this text hash 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 and then A, B, C, and then 3 hashes. Now we don't have any white spaces. You would like to go and remove those special characters at the start and at the end. We still can use the strip function in order to do that. So we're gonna go and use again the strip, but this time we're gonna pass a value for this method, and this is the special character that we want to remove. So that means if you don't specify anything inside the method between those 2 parentheses, it's gonna be always the white space. But if you specify special character or any character here, then Python gonna go and remove those characters from our string value. So if you go and print it, the text and execute, now you can see in the output our string value don't have at the start or at the end any hash value. Okay, so now I'm going to show you something that I do a lot in my projects. Now let's have this value like engineering. Sometimes we have a lot of values and it's going to be really hard to understand whether we have a white space or not. I'm checking just the quality of my data. Now it's going to be really hard by just looking to the data to see if there any space here or not. We can go and test that using the following methods. So what I usually do is that I go and print the length of my data. So if I go and execute it, I can see, okay, there is like 12 characters. I will not go and count now anything. Don't worry about it. It will not be possible if you have like huge data. But now instead what we can do, we can say, okay, print the length of the same value. So text, but this time after applying a strip methods. Now, if you go and execute it, and now by looking to this, you can say, we have 1 white space. Of course, if I go and add like here 2 white spaces and execute it, I can immediately calculate it, 13, 11. That means I have 2 white spaces. So this is really amazing technique in order to check how many white spaces, how many problems do you have inside your data. Now you can do very nice stuff like this. We say the length of the original data minus the length of my data, but after cleaning it up. So let's go and execute it. Now you can see in the output we have 2. That means we have 2 white spaces. Or you can do something like this, where you say equal and then execute it. You will get false. So that means the text is not equal to the same text, but after cleaning it up. Now, if everything is correct, you should get here 0 and you should get here true. Now, of course, we can make this a little bit nicer where we say number of spaces equal, and then we put this formula here. Another one we say is clean, and we put the second formula over here. Now we go and print something nice. Number of spaces, comma, number of spaces, and here is my data clean, and as well here, the second variable. So let's go and execute it. Now you can see very nicely, number of spaces is 2. And is my data clean? Well, no. So this is the trick. This is how I usually check the quality of my data. So if I go and remove now all the unwanted spaces and execute, you can see the number of spaces is 0. And is my data clean? Well, true. So as you can see, this is amazing, right? We are combining now the power of the built-in functions, like the length, together with the method of string, the strip, in order to quickly check the quality of your data, the string values, without you having to look, is there any spaces left or right? So no need to do that. We have now a really nice automated program to check my data for me. Okay, so that's all for this group. We're gonna go now to the second group. We're gonna learn how to clean the cases of our string values. So let's go. Okay, so now let's have the following example where we're gonna say the user went and entered this value like this, Python, so everything in lowercase, and afterward we have programming where the user enter everything in uppercase. So now of course this doesn't look really nice, and sometimes we have rules in our project where we say everything should be in lowercase or uppercase. Now let's say that I would like to go and convert this value to lowercase. In order to do that, we can go and use the method lower. It's gonna go and convert everything to lowercase. So let's go and try that out. So we're gonna say text dot the method lower, and now let's go and execute it. You can see Python programming, and now programming is in lowercase. And the first value Python, it is anyway lowercase, so nothing gonna happen. Now let's say that in our project we would like to see everything in uppercase. Then you go and use the opposite, where you're gonna say text dot and then the method upper is gonna go and convert everything to an uppercase. So let's go and execute it. Now this time we're gonna see the opposite. Python now is an uppercase. Initially it was lowercase, so it is converted to uppercase. For the programming, nothing happens because it is already an uppercase. So as you can see, those two functions gonna bring like standards to your data. You are like cleaning up the data, right? Now there are like many use cases for those two functions, but the one that is very famous is we use them in order to clean up the data before searching. Let me give you this example. So now let's say that the user is searching for this term, email, and in your data you have as well email, but in different case. So everything is lowered and the user just capitalize the E at the start. So now in searching, we don't have to be very sensitive about the values, whether the user write it capitalized or like lowercase. We want to find a match whatever the case is. But of course, the values in Python are case sensitive. So Python is gonna say, oh, those two values are completely different. So if you go and print, for example, search is equal to data and execute it, as you can see, Python gonna say false. They are not equal. Now, of course, we don't want that. We would like to have it as true. What we can do is that we go and convert both my data and the search term to one case. So, for example, I go over here and say, and as well for my data, I'm gonna say lower. Now, it is already lowered, but let's say that we have here a big A. We don't know whether everything is lowered in my system. Maybe in our system, we don't store everything in lowercase. So just to make sure everything is matching. So now if you go and execute it, you will get true because now we are comparing the exact same values with the exact same cases. Now, of course, to make this perfect, we have as well to think about the white spaces. Let's say the user is searching for email, but at the end he enters a space, and maybe in our data we don't have like high quality, and we have a space at the start. Now, if you go and execute it, you will get false, and we don't want that as well. It's still the search should find the data because it is the same word, email. So what we can do, we can go and apply our second method that we just learned. So strip, it doesn't matter whether it's before or after, and the same thing for our data. So if you go and execute, you will get true. And with that, we are cleaning up the data twice. So we are converting the cases to a standard case, the lowercase, and as well, we are removing the white spaces from left and right. So this is how you clean up your data before matching it. So now slowly you are getting the feeling how powerful are those functions and methods, right? Let's move to the next one. Okay friends, now time to challenge your new skills. And if you are able to solve like 80% of it, then it's gonna be amazing. So now we have this messy string that has a lot of informations. I want you to clean this up and make it more organized in one string. So here we have a name, role, and age. I know this one gonna be challenging. So now go pause the video. Alright my friends, so as you can see, this group is very simple but yet very powerful. And with that we have learned how to clean up the string values and the text. This is very important. Now moving on to the next group, now we're gonna learn how to search for something. And here it's important to understand, this group will not go and modify anything in your string values. So all what is happening here is we are searching for something and we need answers. So the original values will not change, we will just get answers. So let's check this group. Okay, so now let's say that I have the following value. So I have again a date where we have a year, then a month like February, and then a day. Now, of course, this is a string value, and as you can see, as I'm writing it from left to right, we consider this to be the start. And then the end of the string gonna be, of course, the end. And then we have here everything in between gonna be the middle. Now again, our string values contains a lot of informations. Here we have the year, the month, and the day. And now I would like to go and search for specific information. Let's say that I would like to go and search for the first part, the year. Now I want to check whether my values always starting with the 2026. And for that, we can use the method starts with like this. And then we have to give it the searching value. So in this example, we are searching for 2026. Like this. So now once you execute it, what's gonna happen? Python gonna check, okay, we are talking about the start. So we're gonna start from the left side. And then it's gonna say, okay, we need here like 4 characters. So it's gonna start counting 1, 2, 3, 4 like this. And now all what's gonna happen is that Python gonna go and compare this value to the one that you are searching for. Now, of course, it is matching, and that's why in the output you will get true. So as you can see, we are just checking. We need only answer yes or no, true or false. So that means the output of this method will not be like another string value. It's going to be the result of the check. So it's going to be Boolean. Now let's say that I would like to go and check the end value of my string. So I'm checking the day, the last 2 characters. So now since we are searching from the end, we're going to use another method, the exact opposite of the start. So it's going to be ends with like this, and as well we have to go and pass for it the value that you are searching for. Let's say that this time we are searching for the value 30. Now once you execute it, Python gonna check, okay, we are talking now about the end, so that means Python has to check the end of the string, and then it's gonna go and check how many characters we are searching for. It is 2, so it's gonna start like this from the right side and then count 2 characters until here. Now Python gonna go and compare the data together with the searching value. Now as you can see, it is not matching, that's why you will get no, and no in Boolean gonna be false. So now as you can see, those 2 methods are really strict, where they always have like starting position and then they start searching for something. The same thing on the left side on the starts. So it has starting position, but sometimes this is very restrictive and I would like to search for a value anywhere. And I don't care whether it is at the start or at the end. It could be anywhere in my string. So now my friends, for that we don't have like specific method. Use the operator in. So this is not method, this is an operator in order to search for specific value in a string, and in the output you get like yes or no, true and false. So you say, is February, for example, in our string? So Python gonna start searching for this combination starting from the left and cover the whole value. And of course in this scenario Python gonna find the combination inside the value, and in return we will get true. So as you can see, it is not very restrictive like the start and the end. If there is a match anywhere, then we will get a true. So now my friend, those 2 methods and as well the operator, they are just checking if a data exists. But now sometimes we want to search inside our data to find where specific like value starts. So we are searching for specific position, not for an answer yes or no. And for this kind of search, we can go and use the methods find, and it is very similar. We pass to it the value that you are searching for. So let's say again, we are searching for the 3 character of the month. Now if you go and apply it, what can happen? So Python can start from the left side and start checking the index or the position. So we have 0, 1, 2, 3. So far we still don't have any match, and then 4, and now comes something very important, the position number 5. This character is matching the first character in our substring, and now it is very important that all the following characters must be matching, and of course everything is matching in this example. And now the question is what we will get in return. We will not get like yes and no, true and false. We will get the starting position of our value. So that means in the output we will get an integer, so we will get 5. So this is the starting position. So this is exactly how the find method works, but of course for a different purpose compared to the others. So with that, my friends, we have learned 4 different techniques how to search for a substring in a string. Alright, now I'm going to show you how I use those functions in my real projects. Now again, we have the same example with the numbers. So here we have like many informations, like the country code, then we have the number itself. So now let's say that I would like to check whether my phone number is a German one. And in order to do that, we have to check the country code at the start. So we have to search for the combination +49. And now I'm gonna ask you which methods we're gonna use. Well, since we are searching at the start, we're gonna use starts with. And now we have to tell Python what you are searching for. We want this combination +49. So let's go and check the results. Now, as you can see, it is true. So yes, my phone number is a German one. And if we have here some other country code and execute it, you will get false because there is no match. And the first 3 characters is not matching what we are searching for. That's why we are getting false. So this is really nice use case. Another one, let's say that we have an email and we have something like this. Let's say bara@gmail.com. Now I would like to go and make a check whether the email comes from the domain gmail.com. So that means we have to search for this domain. So gmail.com. And since the domain is always at the end of the email, that means we have to use the method. I think you already know it. Ends with. And here we have to pass the domain name. So gmail.com. You can add the @ or not. It doesn't matter. And then we have to go and print. So let's check that. With that we are getting true. So that means this email is using the domain gmail.com. And if you are using something else, like for example Outlook, and execute it, you will get false. So this is a nice use case with the endswith in order to check the domains of an email. One more nice use case, just quickly, let's have a file and we have the data backup.csv. Now I want you to check whether the extension of this file is a CSV. Now again, if you look to this, since CSV at the end, so that means I have to go and use the ends with, and we search for the extension .csv, and as usual print, then execute. So yes, my file is using the extension CSV. So this is really nice in order to validate the file names in your system. Alright, now let's have another example about the emails. Now, if the user is like giving us their email address, we have to check for something, whether the user is giving a valid email. And one very important character in our emails is the @ So we have to check whether the emails are valid and they contain an @ somewhere in the email address. Now, since the @ is somewhere in the middle, we cannot go use start with or end with. We have to go and use the operator in. So we can do it like this. We have now the value that we are searching for in double quotes, and then the @ and then after that the operator in, and then the value that you are searching inside it. So it is the email. Now, of course, if you go and execute it, you will not get anything in the output. We have to print as usual. So let's go and execute. Now you can see we have true. So yes, in our email we have an @ Now if I go and remove it from here and then execute, you will see it is false. And this is really nice indicator that this email is not a valid one. Without an @ it is not an email address. So this is really nice use case for the in operator to validate the emails. Another example that I used last time, let's say that we have this URL where we have the https:// and then API dot, say company.com, then version 1 data, something like this. And I was validating the URLs whether they contain the API. So I wanted to detect whether there is like an API call or not in the URL, and I have solved it like this. So I said I'm searching for /API and then the operator in our URL. Let's go and execute. With that, well, yes, so we are getting true. There is an API call in this URL and I used it in my logic in order to do something. So this is really nice, easy, and very useful. Okay, so now let's have a real example about the find. And here I have to tell you something, that find is always combined with some other task. So it is like assisting us to do another thing. Let me show you what I mean exactly. We have this phone number. So this is the first one. And let's have another phone number. So phone 2. And this time we're gonna have it like this, like 48, then some other number. Now I would like to get only the phone number without the country codes. So I would like to extract a part of the phone number, and I don't want all those stuff, the plus, 48, minus. Now we can do that, of course, using the slice. So for the phone number 1, we can go and open 2 brackets and we start counting like 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we start with the position number 4, and then we want to get everything else. So we don't have to specify an end. Let's go and print it and then execute. So with that, we are getting the first phone number. Okay, so now let's go and extract the number from the second phone. Again, the slicing. Now here we don't have a plus, so we cannot start from 4. We can start from 0, 1, 2, 3. So we're gonna start from 3 and the rest. Let's go and execute it. So with that, I'm getting as well the phone number without the country code. Now, of course, this is annoying, right? For each phone number, I have to go and start counting, and the data is not clean. Sometimes it starts with a plus, sometimes without. Maybe in other cases, we have a third phone phone like this, where we have 2 zeros. So the starting position is always like different, and I am lazy. I don't want each time to go and count. Now we need an assistant. We need another method to find for us the starting position. And my friend, we can go and use the find function. So let's see how we can do that. I would like to find the first minus. So it's very simple. We say phone1 dot then find, and we are searching for the first minus. So let's check what we will get and then execute. So as you can see, we are getting the position number 3, which is totally correct. 0, 1, 2, 3. Now this number 3 is not the starting position for our slicing. We want to start from the next character, from the position number 4. Well, it's gonna be always like this. It's always like +1. So let's go and test that. Now instead of 4, we're gonna go and completely replace it with the find. So now instead of having a static number, the 4, we are having the output of the method find. So as you can see now, things are not static. Now things are more dynamic and we are nesting stuff together. So again, this is the start and then double point, and we don't have an end. Let's go and execute it. And here, as you can see, we have an issue that we have here in minus. Now all what you have to do is to go over here and say +1. So 3 + 1, you will get 4, and you will get again the exact same starting position. So let's go and execute it. Now we got the same result. So 176. This is our phone number without us at all counting the positions. So now it is way smarter than before. Of course, it is a little bit more complicated, but it is dynamic. Now let's go and take the whole thing and replace the 3 with our smart code phone2. This is the issue of copy and paste. So we are finding now in the string 2 character minus. So 0, 1, 2, 2 + 1, you will get 3. It should be fine. Let's go and execute it. Now, as you can see, we are getting as well the phone number without specifying any static value for the starting point. Totally smart. Now let's go and test it for the phone number 3. I'm just gonna go and copy paste, and let's go and say phone 3, phone 3. So without counting, without checking anything, I'm gonna go and execute it, and I'm pretty sure I'm getting the phone number. So you can see things are a little bit complicated, but if you do it step by step and you understand each step what you are doing, it will be very easy to make smart thing. And this is exactly how we use the find in order to find the index or the position of a specific character, and then we use this information to pass it to another task. So this is why we have find and how we use it. Okay, so this is how you can search for things in Python. Now we're gonna move to the last group. We will learn how to check and validate our value. We have here 2 methods in order to check and validate the content of our string. So let's check this group. Now all what we are doing here is we are checking and validating. We are checking the quality of our string values. So now sometimes we have like expectations on our values, and we would like to check these expectations. Like for example, we make some expectations that the country should be always characters. So we should not have any numbers or any other special characters. So for that we can use the method isalpha. It is very simple. It's gonna go and check whether the string has only letters. So it is only made of alphabetics. So we can go and validate our country by using the method isalpha like this. We don't have to pass any value for the methods, and then of course we're gonna go and print it. So let's go and check. Now we are getting true. That means the value of the country here has only letters. Now, of course, let's say the user gave the country, but at the end, like we have a typo. Now let's check whether it's gonna pass our quality check. Well, no, we have a false. It means this is not a valid country for us, and there is like something wrong inside it. And the same thing if you have like any special character like hash, and if you go and execute it as well, you will get false. So we are expecting only alphabetics, only letters. This is really nice if you have some expectations on your values to have a quick check on your data. Okay, so now moving on, we have another method. This time we're gonna check whether the string value has only numbers. So it contains only digits. It has no characters or any special characters. So again, our nice example with the phone. And here we have the phone number. Now I would like to go and check whether we have a clean phone number without any characters. So we can go and apply our nice method isnumeric and print. So let's go and execute it. So as you can see, we are getting true because the string contains only numbers. But now let's say that we have here somewhere a minus, a special character, and we check, we will get false because of this special character. It is not a number. So if your string has only numbers, you will get a true. And one more thing about the isnumeric, if you have something like this, it will not be accepted. So I know this is like float number, but that dot considered to be a special character and it will not be accepted. We are talking only about numbers. So as you can see, those methods are really amazing in order to check the content of your string and to validate your expectations. And with that, you can build quality checks and gate in order to prevent having, let's say, garbage and bad data inserted to your application. So with that, you can check the content of your string values. Okay, my friends, so that's all for the last group, and as well, that's all for the roadmap on how to do things to our string values. So now you are equipped with a lot of tools. Now you know how to convert the data types, how to measure and do calculations on our string values, how to transform and reshape your string values, whether combining, splitting, extracting, and as well how to improve the data quality by cleaning up the data and bringing the data into standards. And we have learned as well how to search for specific thing in our string. So if you are building any search functions in your application, I'm sure you will be using those stuff a lot. And the last one, how to check and validate the content of your string. So with that, you have gained skill now about something very important in the data world that you might hear. You might hear someone saying, I'm doing data transformations or data manipulations, or we are building pipelines to clean up the data. So actually all what they are doing, they are using those functions to prepare the data for analysis. So as a data engineer or a data analyst, you will be using those stuff for sure. Alright, now let's have a look to our plan. So with that, you have covered the string functions. I know that was a long section, but it was important. And now next we're going to talk about the functions, the operators that we could use to manipulate the numeric values. This one gonna be way shorter than the string. So if you liked this video and you would like to have more free content like this, then support the channel by subscribing, liking, commenting. This really can help the channel to grow and to reach others like you. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.